everyone, I'm Miss Amber, and today we are going to take a look at part 2 of Gold Rush. Gold Rush is all about learning how to discover the amazing things, the gifts, the talents, the gold that God has created us with. We have been looking at this verse together, Ephesians 2:10. It says this, I am God's masterpiece. He created me new in Christ Jesus so I can do the good things He prepared for me. See, last time we looked at how God created us all on purpose and with a specific purpose. That is why we are all so very different. These differences are good and they should be celebrated. Now, I do know some of you might have been thinking, Miss Amber, that's great and all, but what if I have things about myself that aren't good or things that other people don't like? That is what we are going to talk about today. We are going to look at labels that we might be carrying. Today, our big answer is this: I am who God says I am. I am who God says I am. We are going to look at what God thinks about us. But before we get into all of that, I want you all to take a few moments and go along with me. And I want you to ask yourselves a question. Now, you don't have to write this down and you don't have to say it out loud, but I want you to think. Think of 3 words or phrases that you would use to describe yourself. What do you say about you, about yourself? If you met someone new and they knew nothing about you, what would you tell them? Now, while you all are thinking about that, I will share my 3 with you. I would say that I am honest. Number 1, I tell the truth. Number 2, that I'm a mom. I have kids. That's something about myself. And number 3, I love science. Those are 3 really important things that I think help make me me. See, when we describe ourselves, we sometimes use words or phrases to describe our personality. I said that I was honest. That's part of my personality. Or our life situation. I said that I was a mom. You might be a kid or a friend. Or maybe we use words or phrases to describe our hobbies or our goals. Like, I love science. Maybe you love sports. Maybe you have specific interests. Sometimes these words or phrases can go a little deeper if we sit and think for a while. Maybe they are more like we are successful, or maybe we feel like a failure. Maybe we're a hard worker, or maybe we feel like we might be a little lazy. All of these words and phrases are labels. Labels are used to describe us. Labels can have value and they can communicate importance to us. Labels can come from anywhere. Moms and dads label us as awesome kids, as funny, as sweet, as good brothers and sisters. Teachers can label us. Friends can label us. The problem is when these labels are not good things, or when they tear us down instead of build us up. Let's take a look at our memory verse for today to describe a little bit of what I'm talking about. See, in Proverbs 18:20 and 21 says this: the right words bring satisfaction. The tongue can bring death or life. We all know that God created us on purpose for a purpose, and that we have these gifts and talents or gold on the inside. But the problem with labels is that they're an extra layer that goes over the top of how we were made. That brings me to my first point for today. Number 1, I want us all to write this down if you are taking notes. This is really important. Number 1, the longer we carry our labels, the less they describe our past and the more they determine our future. I know that's a really long point, but we're going to break it down here together. See, it's like this label. I have a label here I actually brought with me today. It's like an actual label. See, the labels we're talking about aren't actual labels like this. Now, this label, as you all can read, says lazy. Now, the longer that I wear it, the more I believe it. And the more I believe it, the more I live it out every day. Maybe someone in passing just called me lazy. Now, I could just shrug it off, no big deal, but the next time I'm called lazy, maybe I start to think there's something to it. And maybe I accept it as a part of how I was made. Maybe I just say, well, maybe I am just lazy. See, the Bible is full of people who were walking around carrying labels. Some of these labels could have kept them from the assignment that God had for them. Now, the best way for us to look at anything and everything from the Bible is with an epic story. So I want everyone to sit up really straight and tall and check this out.
Hey everybody, I'm Mr. Gabe.
And I'm Mr. Andrew.
And this is
An Epic Story!
Actually, it's several epic stories put together.
Wait, what?
Today we have epic stories, plural.
Plural means more than one, right? Big brain. One time I tried to find out what the plural of fungus was, but everyone just kept telling me how I was a fun guy.
Yes, plural means more than one, so we're going to look at more than one story today. 3 stories to be exact.
3 stories is way too tall, Gabriel. I'm afraid of heights as it is. I don't want to have to climb that many stairs to get to the top. Why so many?
Well, all 3 of our stories look at the lives of 3 different people, but they all had something in common. They all struggled with labels.
See, I can totally relate. I too struggle with labels.
Oh man, I had no idea.
Yeah, I don't share it that often, but I was reading the warning label on my deodorant this morning, for my daily reading, and it said, avoid contact with eyes. I panicked. It was too late. I had already seen it. Reading is dangerous, Gabriel. Oh,
that's not, okay, forget it. The labels that we are talking about today are the labels that other people try to put on you. The things that they say you are.
Like this one my mom gave me. Thanks, Mom. Love you.
Yeah, kind of like that. Our first story is all about a man named Noah. Noah lived a long time ago.
Oh, I know this one. Let me tell it, please. Come on, Gabriel Sebastian Mills, please.
Okay, if you think you know it, go for it.
Yes. Okay, so. All right, here we go. Noah was this guy that lived long, long ago. He built a ginormous boat called the Ark. God told him that there was a flood coming and he needed to save his family and 2 of every kind of animal. There were lions, there were tigers, there were bears.
Oh, cool story.
Like, you have to steal my thunder like that. Ugh. There were chipmunks and cute little sloths and there were salmon! Now, back to business. There were also dinosaurs!
What? Andrew! There were not dinosaurs on the Ark.
You don't know that. Are you trying to tell me that that is the reason that dinosaurs went extinct? Thanks a lot, Noah. You really messed that one up. We could have been riding to school on pterodactyls. Rude.
Not even close to accurate. No dinosaurs when Noah was alive. But continue.
You don't know that, Gabriel. You weren't there. Anyways, after Noah and his family and the animals, minus the dinosaurs, were all safe on the Ark, it began to rain.
Andrew, no, you shouldn't do that.
Suit yourself. It rained and rained until water covered the entire earth.
Wait, how did you...
See, Noah hung out for a long time with his family and the animals, like this is Whiskers, until the floodwaters went down and they found some dry land. Bye, Whiskers. The end. Gabe, tell me, what does this story have to do with labels?
Great question. See, when Noah was busy building the ark back in those days, it had never rained before.
Wait, you're telling me that Noah built a huge ship on dry land and it had never rained? That is cuckoo crazy.
Exactly. See, everyone else thought Noah was crazy too. All of his neighbors laughed at him and made fun of him. They labeled Noah as just a crazy old guy next door.
Well, that's not very nice. And hey, tuck in your shirt, young whippersnapper. Brush that curly hair, it's unruly. What are you, some kind of curly-haired, untucked shirt hooligan?
No, I'm not.
Why was that, Sonny?
I said I'm not.
All right, use my good ear over here.
No, I'm not a hooligan.
Oh, it's nice to meet you, not a hooligan. All right, well, it's always nice to meet a nice young fella like yourself. Come here, Sonny.
Yes, I'm not. No, Andrew, stop. Get off me. Okay. Our next story is even less nice.
Surprise! It was me all along, but I'm intrigued. Go ahead.
Now, let's look at the story of Joseph.
Oh, yes, I know that one. He is the guy with colorful coat and wild dreams.
That's the one.
Wait, he had some other... Oh, he had a batch of mean older brothers.
Mean doesn't even begin to cover it. They threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery. See, Joseph's dad gave him a really cool gift. A coat of many colors, and his brothers got super jealous.
Why would they get jealous of that? My Nana gave me this Pug of Many Colors shirt for Christmas, and I would gladly give it away. Sorry, Nana.
Back then, it was a cool gift. Joseph's brothers saw him wearing his coat and got super jealous and tried to kill him.
Gabriel, if you really want this shirt, all you have to do is ask.
No. Things got even worse. They sold him into slavery, he was lied about and accused of something he didn't do, and ended up in jail.
This poor guy can't catch a break. I bet he had tons of labels to deal with.
Yeah, he was probably labeled as unwanted and no good, to name a few. But Joseph was smart. He didn't allow those labels to define who he was. Even in his worst times, he trusted God and kept going. He eventually made it out of that jail and into the palace.
It's about time! Gabriel Sebastian Mills, go and get me a grilled cheese sandwich, please.
What? We're in the middle of a...
I said now, mister! You are my royal subject and my jester, and I am your king.
No. Our third story is all about David, who would actually become king. But not yet.
Oh, little Davy boy. Was that the one with the cheese plate, the first ever charcuterie board? Oh, I know this one. Can I tell it, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so there was this young boy staring at a giant, almost as tall as me, and his name was Goliath. Goliath said, "I'ma kill you, little dude. I'ma smash. I'ma crash. I'ma bam, wham, dead, dead, dead."
Andrew, there are kids watching.
Oh, right. Well, David said, "You don't know who you are talking to, you big, stinky, overrated, ugly giant. I have killed a lion." I've killed a lion and a bear. And a bear. And you are next, you big meanie. David's brothers said, "Bro, you are tiny. What are you even doing here?" And David said, "Oh yeah? Check this out." And he picked up some rocks and he was like, with a slingshot, and he goes, yeah. And then wham, bam, you dead, Goliath. You are welcome, everyone. I did it. Huzzah.
Yeah. David was labeled as tiny, not old enough, and little did they know God called him worshiper and king. So you see, even people in the Bible dealt with labels. Noah was labeled crazy for doing what God told him to do. Joseph's brothers actually were crazy and treated him like he was worthless. And everyone said David was too young. But none of these guys allowed their labels to keep them from doing the good things God had planned for them.
Wow, that is so awesome. Well, not that they had to deal with the labels, but that they figured out how to overcome them. That was really fun today. I'm glad we went plural today. And that's an epic stories.
Epic stories.
Oh, yeah, I thought it sounded weird. Sorry, I'll work on that.
I love epic stories. See, Noah and Joseph and David all knew the same thing. They knew that no matter what other people said, no matter what they were called, that ultimately what God said about them was the most important. See, people said that Noah was crazy. To everyone else, he did kind of look crazy, but that's just because everyone didn't know what God knew. How do we accept labels from people when they don't even know the whole story? And are we labeling others in the same way? That leads me to my second point today. The second point for today is this. It's kind of long like the first one, so make sure you write this down. My second point is, what is true about you now doesn't have to be true about you later. What's true about you now doesn't have to be true about you later. So let's go back to my label here, right? So maybe I was being lazy. Maybe I was. Noah was kind of acting crazy in the eyes of all of the people, but just because something is true about you now doesn't have to be true about you later. See, people like to tell us what they see and what they notice. For some reason, it's easier for us if we can just put people in categories and keep them there. But that isn't God's design, and that's not our job. Maybe when I got this label, I was not listening and choosing not to help and just wanted to do my own thing. Maybe at that moment, I was in fact being lazy. Now, there's a huge difference between acting lazy and just being a lazy person. One is my choice in the moment, and the other tries to become part of my identity, a label. We have to be careful what we listen to, but you also have to be careful what you say. See, when you hear something over and over and over again, it's hard to believe it's not true. Power of our words are so important. See, we have the power to create with our words, to motivate, to hurt, to wound, to discourage, and even to destroy. There's this old phrase, and I don't know if I'm just really old and you guys don't say it anymore, but there was this phrase when I was growing up, and it says, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." And that is the silliest thing, because maybe words don't cause bruises on our skin, but man, words hurt. It's just like in our memory verse for today in Proverbs 18:21, the right words bring satisfaction, but the tongue can bring death or life. Some of our labels we have wrongly owned. Some of these labels we've just accepted. Sometimes it's easier to accept labels because of what we see right now, how we act right now. But that is a huge difference between what people see and call you versus what God sees and calls you. Now, in our epic story that we just all watched together, the three men we talked about today were labeled based on their actions in the moment, what people saw. How much more should we accept what God calls us then? The one who created us, the one who intentionally, on purpose, gave us these gifts and talents and personalities. God knows what He's doing. We can trust that He has a good plan. Now that leads me to my very last point for today, number 3. It's much shorter than the other two, so you are in luck, but make sure you write this one down as well. Number 3, you will grow into it. what will we grow into? You will grow into those good things that God calls you. You may not feel fearfully and wonderfully made like the Bible says right now. You may not be able to see that you are more than a conqueror like God tells us. You may even think that it's impossible for you to ever see yourself as God's masterpiece. And that's okay, actually, because you will grow into it. Over time, you can embrace it and grow into it. It's a process. It takes time. You may not see it yet, and you may not see it as it's even happening, but you pick up the right label. If you choose to pick up the right label, okay, like this one that I happen to have here. If you happen to pick up the right label and wear it long enough and believe it long enough, the more you will live it out every day. And ultimately, it's who you will become, just who God created you to be. Now, I have a challenge for us today. Each time we're together, I always like to give you a challenge. I think it's important to walk out what we learn each time we're together. So your assignment, if you choose to accept it today, is to identify some labels that you have been wearing. If these labels are not what God says about you, let's get rid of them, right? It's time that we proudly start to wear and declare God's goodness and promises for your life.